Welcome back, class. Last week we spent the week learning how to graph quadratic equations, and you're going to need to keep that paint bucket close by. However, we're going to kind of switch gears here for a little bit, and we're going to talk about polynomials. Today we're going to have two goals. Our first goal is to be able to name or classify different polynomials, and our second goal is going to be able to multiply polynomials. Okay, so before we get too far into those goals, I think it's important that we start talking about some terms and some definitions of what a polynomial is, what terms are, and those types of things. So I have some definitions up here for you to take a look at. The first term that I want to look at is the term. In term, when we talk about term mathematically or algebraically, what a term is it is each piece of a polynomial that is being added. So a polynomial is made up of several terms or several pieces that are added together. Okay, and so each one of those pieces is called a term. That brings us into the definition of polynomial. Polynomial is an algebraic expression of one, two, or more terms. Excuse me. Okay, so a polynomial could have one term, it could have two terms, it could have 3, 4, 5, 10, 100. A polynomial is made up of many terms, one or many terms. All right? So one type of polynomial is a monomial. Okay? This is a type of polynomial. And a monomial is specifically an algebraic expression of one term. If there's an expression with only one term, that's a monomial. Okay? So that's a type of polynomial, but it only has one term, so it's kind of a more specific definition. Okay, let's talk about some more. All right, if a monomial has one term, a binomial is an algebraic expression of two terms. Okay, kind of like a bicycle has two wheels. A binomial has two terms. All right, and then a trinomial, going along the same lines here, you should be seeing a pattern. A trinomial, just like a tricycle has three wheels, a trinomial is an algebraic expression of three terms. Okay, so trinomials, binomials, monomials, they're all polynomials. Okay, polynomials is kind of a general term, and monomial is specific. That only has one term. Binomial, specific, it has two terms. Trinomial, specific, it has to have three terms. Okay, they're all polynomials. So what we need to talk about next then is what is not a polynomial. What is a non-polynomial? Okay, and a non-polynomial is an algebraic expression with a negative exponent. Okay, if it has a negative exponent, like 3x to the negative third, then that's not a polynomial. That doesn't count as a term. Okay, because it's got a negative exponent. So it's not a polynomial if it has a negative exponent. Also, if the variable is in the denominator, then it is not a polynomial. Okay, so for example, 1 over x squared. X, the variable is down in the denominator, so that is not a polynomial. All right, and then finally, if the variable is inside a radical, like square root, the square root of 4x, that's not a polynomial. Okay, we don't count that as a term. Okay, so it's not a monomial, it's not a binomial, it's not a polynomial, it's a non-polynomial. Again, the three times when it's not a polynomial is if there's a negative exponent, not a polynomial. If the variable is in the denominator, not a polynomial. Or if the variable is under a radical, like a square root, then it's not a polynomial. Okay? So what you're going to have to be able to do today is you're going to have to be able to classify or name polynomials. Is this a binomial? Is this a trinomial? Is this a non-polynomial? We're going to have to name different polynomials. So I have a couple examples for us to try, and then you've got some in your notes that you can try also. Here are 4 examples, and let's talk about each one of these examples and see if we can classify it or name it. Example number 1 is 9x to the third plus 10x. Okay? If we look at this, we have a term, 9x to the third power, plus 10x, plus another term. So we have two terms. So anytime we have two terms, we call that a binomial. Okay, so number one is a binomial. Let's take a look at number two. We've got 8k squared, 8k to the second power. And looking at this, there's only one term there. I know some of you may think, well, there's an 8, and there's a k, and there's a 2. So is that 3 terms? But no, it's only one term because each term has to be added to something else. Okay, if they're all just multiplied together, then that's just one term. They're all grouped together. 8k squared, all grouped together. So that's a monomial. Okay, number two is a monomial. Let's take a look at number three. Number three is 5y to the negative 2 plus 3y. When you first look at it, it looks like a binomial. There's two terms here. But if we remember back from our notes that we just took, it has a negative exponent. Okay, and anytime we have a negative exponent, then that means that this is not a polynomial. So this is a non-polynomial. Okay? And then finally, let's look at number 4. Number 4, 10x squared plus 5x plus 7. It looks to me like we have 3 terms there. 10x squared, there's 1. 5x, there's 2. And 7, there's 3. So anytime we have 3 terms, we call that a trinomial. All right, and so that's how we classify or name polynomials. We look to count the number of terms and decide if it's a monomial, binomial, trinomial, okay? Or if there's a negative exponent or the variables in the denominator or the variables under a square root or radical, then it's a non-polynomial. Okay, so now would be a good time to pause the video, try the on your own and see if you can figure those out. And then you'll be ready to move on to the next part of the video, which is about multiplying polynomials. Okay? I'm going to put the steps up for how to multiply polynomials. Alright, hopefully you're back. You paused the video, you solved those problems really quickly, and welcome back. Alright, let's talk about multiplying monomials and binomials. Okay, we're going to get into multiplying binomials by trinomials and trinomials times trinomials and all sorts of complicated things. But today, we're just going to look specifically at how do you multiply a monomial times a binomial. Okay, and it's not as complicated as it sounds. In fact, we've done it before. We just haven't really called it this. And so I want to make sure that you know what we're doing. We're multiplying a monomial times a binomial. Okay, so these are the steps to do it. And again, I think once you see the examples, you'll be like, oh, that's it? That's all I have to do? And yeah, that is all you have to do. Okay, but step number 1 is distribute the monomial to both terms in the binomial. Okay, distribute the monomial to each term in the binomial. Step number 2 is to combine any like terms. If you do have any, then combine like terms. And step number 3 is to write your simplified answer. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of examples of those. How to multiply a monomial times a binomial. Great, here are 3 examples. Example number 1, I have 5. That's my monomial. Okay, it's just a term with, it's one term, so it's a polynomial, it's a monomial, 5. Here's my binomial. Okay, 2x minus 4, 2 terms there. So I'm going to multiply my monomial times my binomial. All I need to do is distribute my monomial to each term in my binomial. So 5 times 2x is 10x. And 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. I want to look to see if I have any like terms that I can combine. In this case, I have a 10x and a 20, and I cannot combine those. Those are not like terms. One of them has a variable, and one of them is a constant. So I'm finished. I've written my answer after I combined like terms because I didn't have to combine like terms. 10x minus 20. How easy is that? Okay. Example number 2. This time our monomial is 2x. Our binomial is 8x plus 2. So I'm going to distribute this 2x. Okay. And 2x times 8x, we've had to multiply these types of numbers before. Remember, we take our constants and we take our coefficients and we multiply those. 2 times 8 is 16. And then we take our variables and multiply those. X times x is x squared. All right? Then we take 2x times 2, and 2x times 2 is 4x. I look to see if there's any like terms I can combine, and in this case, I can't combine any like terms because one term is an x squared and one term is just an x, and those aren't like terms. I can't combine them. So this is my final answer. This is it. 16x squared plus 4x. All right, the last example here, instead of x's, we're dealing with t's, but it's pretty much the same thing. I've got 6t, that's my monomial, times 3t minus 5, that's my binomial. All right, I'm going to distribute my monomial to each of the terms in my binomial, and 6t times 3t, well, 6 times 3 is 18, and t times t is t squared, and then 6t times negative 5, 6t times negative 5 is negative 30t. Okay? Look to see if you can combine any like terms, but one term has a t squared and one term has a t. Those are not like terms, so I can't do any combining. That's just my final answer, 18t squared minus 30t. And that's it. That's how you multiply monomials times binomials. I hope that things come easy to you. If you have any questions, please circle them in your notes. There's a couple more examples for you to try in your notes on your own. Try those ones on your own. When you're finished, then you're done for the day. I hope it comes easy to you, and I will see you soon. Thanks. Bye.